Hello, my name is Megan and welcome to my YouTube channel where I vlog about health and fitness, study and dogs. Today I'm going to be talking about stress, what stress is, the impact of it on the body and how we can combat stress. If I'm looking down at any point in this video, it's because I actually have notes on my laptop that I'm referring to. I work as a tutor in a medical school and I found that stress is a really common problem that the students are struggling with at the moment. In the past, I've also struggled a lot with stress and knowing how to manage it and finding what works for me. This video isn't to say that I'm perfect or that I know exactly how to manage stress. I'm going to be talking about things that help me and things that have helped other people, but ultimately you need to find what works for you. So first of all, what is stress? Stress is any condition that actually or potentially poses a challenge to the body's ability to maintain homeostasis. So basically anything that tries to kick it out of kilter at all. There's two types of stress. There's eustress, which is the good stress that can help to enhance performance, and there's distress, which is an unpleasant or disease-producing stress, and this can be harmful and impair behaviour. So what's important there is stress is actually needed to enhance performance in the body. Things like fight or flight, like if you're running away from a bear, or something that's more relatable, like needing to have more energy to revise for exams, things like that. So the stress response is how the body responds to stress. Initially, you have the short-term stress where you're feeling shock and it's the initial fight and flight response. And this is how the body responds to stress. So the heart rate goes up, things like that. Then there is more long-term stress. So this is how the body is coping with prolonged stress. If the stress then continues, the body then enters into the exhaustion phase. Resources are depleted and they can't maintain the function. This is when bad things happen. So there's two forms of stress response. There's the acute stress response, where you get noradrenaline produced and that causes the fight and flight. And then you get the long-term stress response where cortisol is produced. The long-term stress response is useful in that amino acids and protein are released from the muscles, so it increases the amount of glucose that's available. However, it also increases the blood pressure and it can have bad effects on the immune system as well. And I think we're all too aware of the effects it can have on our mental and emotional well-being. Practical things that I found that help me deal with stress. Number one, writing everything down. So this isn't journaling, I'll come on to this later, but it is writing everything down that you're stressed about and finding out what it is that you're most stressed about. I feel like when it's in your head and buzzing around all the time, it's harder to identify what it is that's stressing you out. From this, you can prioritise the things that need doing first. The way I go about it is I do the thing that's the biggest or the thing that's on my mind the most that maybe you want to leave to the end of the day, but then you've got it hanging over your head all day. So I do the biggest thing first. I then like to split my to-do list up into monthly, weekly and daily goals to break apart the different goals that I have to make them more manageable. I was talking to one of my students about this and I think it's really easy to overwhelm yourself with lists as well. And don't make unachievable aims that you just aren't going to be able to cover in the time frame that you give yourself. So the second tip is to plan your day. This doesn't have to be hour by hour, although that does work for some people, but just plan out your day with the ideas of things that you'll want to complete during that day. One of the important things to cover in this list of what you're going to do during the day is to include self-care. So self-care can be a video on itself. It is different for everyone. There are 4 components of self-care. So there's physical, emotional, spiritual and social. So self-care for me looks very different to self-care for my sister. When I can run, I like to go on long runs in the countryside, whereas that wouldn't suit her at all. Whereas the things that she would do for her self-care, like take a long bath, wouldn't suit me because I'm not a long bath kind of person. So it's finding out what is self-care for you. The third practical point I have is to make sure you have adequate nutrition, hydration and sleep. These are really, really basic things to make sure your body is functioning well. I have not always had the best nutrition. I cannot stress how important it is having good nutrition and sleep to be able to aid your concentration and motivation throughout the day. This isn't to say that you can't have cake. Life without cake is a sad life, so have a balance. Number 4 is exercise. This is a massive part of my life. My exercise of choice is running. I love to run with my friends in the countryside. Sometimes I run on the road, on the pavements as well, but my running of choice is in the countryside. However, I am injured at the moment. I hurt my hip in November. It is nearly the end of March now. I think I've done 4 runs in that time. Considering I normally run about 100 miles a month, it's a big difference to me. So at the moment, I'm alternating strength work and cardio. So cardio wise, I can't really go on long walks because of my hip. I've got a spin bike that now hurts my hip. So I'm using battle ropes. These are something I had from a program last year, and I've chosen different moves that don't involve bouncing up and down on my legs. I then do strength work, so I've built a little gym in my spare room over lockdown, so I'm hoping to keep the strength work going. I do get some pleasure out of it, and I do feel better once I've done it, but it's not running. There's also been studies done to show the impact of green exercise, so this is exercise outside. I did a hill walking module in medical school, and my essay was based on green exercise, and I really enjoyed the time that we spent out there, even though I didn't exercise much at that point in my life. My fifth practical tip is yoga. I've never been someone who enjoys yoga. I find it really boring. I have no flexibility whatsoever. However, I started Yoga with Cassandra's 30-day morning yoga challenge a couple of months ago, and it was just 10 minutes of yoga. I think you were meant to do it in the morning, but I just did it whenever I wanted to do it. And because it was only 10 minutes, I didn't feel like it was a big part of my day, and I got so much out of it. I have become more flexible. I can now definitely touch my toes, and it does slow your body down and does make you stronger as well. Number 6, being creative. I did a very science-based degree. However, growing up, my dad's a music teacher, my mum's language teacher, my sister does print design. We're a very arty family. I'm very much the odd one out doing a science subject. So I'm really lucky in that I've grown up in an arty background. I like to play the piano. I like to play the flute. I'm hopefully getting a guitar for my birthday. And I just find doing something creative that's completely different to medicine really helps reduce my stress levels. I also like to design whatever platform of diary I have at the time. I've used bullet journals, I've used filofaxes. I like to have a colour coding system so I can see easily everything that I need for each part of my life. Also my wall calendar that you can't see because it's behind the camera. All those colours coordinate with what's in my diary. Number 7, laughing. So this sounds like a really basic thing and can be hard at times, but laughing has been shown to have physical, mental and social benefits. So physically it boosts the immune system, it lowers stress hormones, it decreases pain. Mentally it can ease anxiety and tension, relieve stress and improve mood. And socially it can help to strengthen relationships, enhance teamwork and promotes group bonding. The easiest way I find to laugh is I like memes. So I really like looking at memes on the internet, especially relatable ones. I'll insert a few here that have been making me laugh over the last few days. Just the act of laughing can release the endorphins, the happy hormones, and it can relax your body. Number 8, journaling. This is something that I've started this year. I don't do it all the time. I don't do as much as I should. Journaling doesn't have to be writing every thought you have onto paper at all. It's just like everything that you want to remove from your mind, putting it on paper and just be more logical about it. I find this is really helpful if there's something in particular that's bothering me and I can talk it out with someone who's not going to judge, who I know won't remember it, and I find it just a really, really good method for helping to relieve stress. So number 9 is going to be resilience. This is something that's been spoken about a lot this last year. So resilience is adapting well to adversity, so any changes. Ways that you can increase resilience is to reach out to others, ask for support, do the exercise in the green space, and to avoid isolation. Avoiding isolation is really tricky at the moment, but you can always do things online. I know we've been doing it online for a long time now, but from next week in England we'll be able to meet other people outside. You can do that green exercise together, things like that. Number 10, ask for professional help. It is not a weakness, it is not a flaw in your personality to need extra help with your mental health. I will link a few things in the description box below about places where you can get help. It's really easy to get caught up in the needing to get everything done, being productive as possible, but I feel like we also need to take a step back, and if we can't look after our physical and mental health, then we're just not going to be use to anyone. And then the last thing I want to talk about is toxic productivity. So I'm going to link a video below by Faye Bate, who's a medical student, and she talks about toxic productivity, which I think is especially rampant on YouTube. So it's great to make the list, to do the yoga, to eat healthily, things like that. We do need to take a step back. No one's productive all of the time, and we need to put in self-care into our routines, and that can just be sitting down watching telly, reading a book, whatever is self-care for you. That is productive. If you're concerned about not being productive, self-care is productivity. It's making you feel better inside, it's reducing your stress, you're looking after yourself. We weren't made to be on the go all the time. We do need time to rest. So I think essentially the things that I want to highlight from this video are: 1, We can't change necessarily what happens to us, but we can change how we react to it. So I think having those support mechanisms and ways to cope in place is really, really helpful. Also control what you can. So no, we can't control the decisions made for us because of the virus, but what we can control is, do we go out for a walk today? Do we have a good sleep schedule? Things like that. So control what we can control. And also what I want to emphasize is, don't compare someone else's highlight reel to your everyday life. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it's helped in some way. As I said at the beginning, I absolutely do not have it together. I try to make myself more functioning as a person, and that is holistically looking after myself, so physical health, mental health, things like that. Everyone is a work in progress. Find what works for you and go with that.